Hello England, it's Sunday. So I started uni this week, and don't really know what I expect from it. So instead of talking about my teachers, classes, and boring stuff, maybe boring, I'll just tell you a story from high school. You know what I hated from 11th grade English? A lot of stuff actually. But for this video, I'm just gonna say limits. I'm not talking about limits like write more than 500 pages, because that's fine. That makes you be creative. That makes you actually have to write. I mean limits like write less than 2 pages. Less. That just limits your possibility of creating and be good at writing. So finishing 11th grade, I was given this job called the 300 word story. The teacher gave this assignment to some kids, and they would be the one grading it and making the assignment to the other students. And she said 300 word is just a name. She just wanted a short story. Part of the instructions of this Part of the instructions were to use an event from high school from one of your parents' senior year. I used 3 events. 1. Part of the instructions from Part of the instructions were to make the story Part of the instructions were to make the story based on 3 events. No. Part of the instructions of the story were to make Part of the instructions were to make a story based Part of the instructions were to make the story based on high school senior year stories from your parents. I used 3. 1. The teacher walks into class one day to see a fake rat, think it's real, walks out of the classroom and gets the principal. 2. Every party had a fashion show for some reason. 3. After the seniors mooned and one field trip, they couldn't go away in field trips, so I took this as they mooned and they lost their freedom. So I took the ideas and tried to make them into a story I would enjoy reading as a reader. And after I started actually writing, I couldn't stop. The ideas were coming in way... it was awesome. I couldn't stop writing. I thought I could make a novel out of it. It was really awesome. And then the limit. There was the limit. I remember all the pieces that were going to be written were going to be added into a magazine the teacher was going to make. And every part had to be 2 pages long, because every student had to have at least the least and the most 2 pages in the magazine. So I butchered my story idea, and I was very angry about it because the teacher just made me stop my writing, stop being creative, stop the process she wanted me to do to make it fit. And she wouldn't accept it. The other kids wouldn't accept it because it was too long if it was more than 2 pages. So I had to cut it down and stop my ideas for the class that was supposed to open my mind and help me with this kind of stuff. After that, I went and turned in the 2 pages, and the people that were doing the thing couldn't accept my 2 pages because it was 2 pages with definitions from the story, and I actually had to make a 300 word story. My story was around 2,000 words long, and it's just 2 pages, and they wanted me to just make that 2,000 word story into a 300 word one. That's asking for about make my story 6 times, 7 times smaller than it already is, and it already was made smaller because it used to be longer than 2 pages, so I already had condensed it. So I kept killing the story, and I actually ended up making another story, which I made 300 words exactly, just so I could turn it in and say, here you go, a 300 word story. Because other kids were turning in 100 and 200 words. And I don't know. I'll leave the links to the story below. I want to talk about them in a separate video. I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm just hoping that my English university class is not like this. I hope I can be more creative. I feel like that story I was writing died that night I had to butcher it. But I'm gonna see what happens. Pat, I'll see you tomorrow.